Welcome to Flash Core, your sharpest source for daily headlines and deep dives. If you're new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and stay ahead of the curve. Tensions are rising on the world's longest peaceful border. For over 150 years, the boundary between the United States and Canada has symbolized not just geography, but a deep and enduring friendship. Families, businesses, and entire communities have thrived on the easy flow of goods and people across this line, making it a model for international cooperation. But that spirit of partnership is now under threat. The Trump administration has imposed a 25% tariff on Canadian steel and aluminum, citing national security, a claim that's infuriated Canadians and left many experts scratching their heads. For decades, Canada has been one of America's closest allies, supplying essential materials for everything from cars to skyscrapers. The sudden move has sent shockwaves through both economies, threatening decades of trust and cooperation. Business leaders on both sides of the border are scrambling to understand the new rules, worried about contracts, supply chains, and jobs that depend on cross-border trade. The handshake agreements and carefully negotiated treaties that once defined U.S. Canada relations now seem fragile. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau called the justification insulting, and Canadians see the tariffs as a betrayal from a close friend. Across Canada, citizens are voicing their anger, staging protests, and demanding a strong response from their government. The sense of shock is palpable, as many Canadians have long viewed the U.S. as a reliable partner. In Ottawa, the response was swift. Canada quickly prepared retaliatory measures, targeting American products from bourbon to orange juice, signaling it wouldn't back down. Lawmakers debated late into the night, determined to defend Canadian industries and send a clear message that Canada would stand up for itself. What began as a dispute over metals has now spiraled, affecting everything from agriculture to tourism. Farmers worry about crops stuck at the border, while shop owners in border towns see fewer Canadian tourists. Even everyday shoppers are feeling the pinch, as prices rise and shelves empty in some stores. Businesses on both sides face rising costs and uncertainty, while citizens feel the economic pain. Factory workers fear layoffs, small business owners struggle to keep their doors open, and families are forced to tighten their budgets. The ripple effects of these tariffs are being felt in communities large and small, from bustling cities to rural towns. The U.S. Canada relationship, once a model of partnership, is now at risk of unraveling. Decades of goodwill and collaboration are being tested as leaders on both sides dig in their heels. The world is watching to see if these two neighbors can find a way back to the trust and cooperation that once defined their bond. The stage is set for a trade war with no clear winners, only economic pain on both sides. As the standoff continues, the future of North America's most important partnership hangs in the balance, with millions of lives and livelihoods caught in the crossfire. In a bold and highly visible move, Canada retaliated against U.S. tariffs by imposing its own set of tariffs, specifically targeting a wide range of American products. Among these, American liquor quickly became the most talked-about casualty. Shelves that once boasted rows of Kentucky bourbon, Tennessee whiskey, and other iconic U.S. spirits were suddenly bare, their absence impossible to ignore. The impact was immediate, sending shockwaves through both the retail and manufacturing sectors on both sides of the border. Provincial liquor stores across Canada responded swiftly, pulling U.S. brands from their shelves almost overnight. The empty spaces left behind became more than just a logistical inconvenience, they turned into a daily visual reminder of the growing trade dispute. For many Canadians, these gaps in the aisles were a stark symbol of the country's willingness to stand up for itself, even if it meant sacrificing familiar favorites. This boycott, fueled by a combination of government policy and a groundswell of public support, has evolved into a powerful symbol of national unity. Across the country, Canadians are rallying together, expressing pride in their identity and their ability to weather economic storms. Community events and rallies have sprung up, with people gathering outside liquor stores to show solidarity and support for the cause. On social media, the movement has taken on a life of its own. Canadians are flooding their feeds with the #BuyCanadian hashtag, proudly sharing photos of their favorite homegrown products and encouraging friends and family to do the same. The message is clear. American goods are being left untouched, and Canadian alternatives are being celebrated like never before. The Canadian government has been unwavering in its stance. Through press conferences and official statements, leaders have made it clear that Canada will not be pushed around or intimidated. The tariffs are not just a political maneuver. They are a statement of national resolve, meant to show that Canada is prepared to defend its interests, no matter the cost. The targeted U.S. goods, worth billions of dollars, are carefully chosen to put pressure on key American industries and the states that rely on them. By hitting products with deep economic and cultural significance, Canada hopes to send a message that will resonate all the way to Washington. For American liquor producers, the loss of the Canadian market is both immediate and severe. Factories that once hummed with activity are now facing layoffs and production slowdowns. Business owners are left scrambling to find new buyers, while workers worry about their jobs and their futures. The ripple effects are being felt in small towns and big cities alike, as the reality of the trade war sets in. Meanwhile, Canadians are embracing domestic alternatives with enthusiasm. Local distilleries are seeing a surge in demand, and Canadian-made spirits are flying off the shelves. Shoppers are discovering new favorites and developing a renewed appreciation for homegrown craftsmanship. For many, these new habits could become permanent, reshaping the market for years to come. The liquor boycott is just the opening salvo in what is shaping up to be a much larger trade war. Headlines across the country warn of escalating consequences as both sides dig in and prepare for a prolonged battle. The tension between Canada and the U.S. is palpable, with each new development watched closely by businesses, consumers, and policymakers alike. As the standoff continues, both economies are beginning to feel the sting. Lost sales, shifting loyalties, and growing uncertainty are taking their toll on businesses and communities. What started as a dispute over tariffs has now become a test of resilience and resolve, with the outcome still uncertain for everyone involved. Canada's tariffs are hitting the U.S. liquor industry hard, especially iconic brands like Kentucky Bourbon. With a 25% tariff and products pulled from shelves, American distilleries face a sudden crisis. Industry groups warn of job losses across the supply chain, from farmers to truck drivers. Smaller craft distilleries counting on Canadian sales are especially vulnerable. The uncertainty makes it impossible to plan, invest, or grow. As Canadians turn to other brands, American products risk being permanently replaced. Even if tariffs are lifted, regaining lost market share will be a costly battle. The trade war is forcing a painful realignment that could haunt the U.S. liquor industry for years. The ongoing trade dispute between Canada and the United States is now having a ripple effect that goes far beyond tariffs and trade agreements. It's hitting the heart of the tourism industry, with American destinations feeling the impact in a very real way. Once bustling tourist attractions across the U.S. now stand eerily empty. Souvenir shops are shuttered, and theme parks that once echoed with laughter are now silent. Canadians, who have long been the largest group of international visitors to the United States, are suddenly rethinking their travel plans. Families who once looked forward to summer road trips to American cities are now pausing, reconsidering, and in many cases, canceling their vacations altogether. At airports, travelers stare at departure boards, weighing their options, while others sit at home, passports in hand, debating whether crossing the border is worth it. The popular slogan, "Buy Canadian," has taken on a new twist. Now it's Vacation Canadian. Canadians are being encouraged not just to support local businesses, but to spend their tourism dollars at home. Travel agencies and tourism boards are promoting the beauty and excitement of Canadian destinations, urging citizens to rediscover their own country's wonders. The effects are already being felt south of the border. Hotels in U.S. tourist towns are reporting record vacancies, tour buses are running half-empty, and ticket booths at major landmarks are closing early due to lack of visitors. The economic consequences for these communities are mounting with each canceled trip. Instead of heading to the U.S., many Canadians are exploring their own backyard, hiking in national parks, relaxing at lakeside resorts, or discovering vibrant Canadian cities. Others are looking even further afield, booking flights to destinations like Mexico and Europe, where they feel more welcome and their tourism dollars go further. This quiet grassroots boycott is more than just a travel trend. It's a powerful, peaceful protest against U.S. policies that many Canadians see as unfair or hostile. In cafes and online forums, Canadians are openly discussing the impact of these policies and the importance of standing together. As a result, domestic travel within Canada is booming. Airports are bustling with travelers heading to Canadian destinations, trains and buses are packed, and the check-in counters for U.S. flights are noticeably quiet. The shift is unmistakable. The message from Canadians is clear and resolute. If American policies hurt Canada, Canadians will respond with their wallets. By choosing to spend their money at home or abroad, they are sending a strong signal that economic ties go both ways. The once friendly border, a symbol of cooperation and shared prosperity, is now marked by tension and economic loss. As cross-border traffic declines, both countries are left to consider the true cost of political disputes on everyday lives and livelihoods. Canadian tourists are vital to U.S. border states like New York, Florida, and Arizona. As Canadians stay home, local economies face empty hotels, restaurants, and stores. Border towns that once thrived on Canadian shoppers now see declining sales and job losses. The U.S. Travel Association warns thousands of jobs are at risk. Reduced tourism means less investment and stalled development. The trade war is turning prosperity into anxiety for American communities. Open borders once fueled growth, now they're a source of economic pain. Canadians are discovering new vacation spots, with Mexico and the Caribbean emerging as top choices. Airlines are adding flights and travel packages are more attractive than ever. For many, avoiding the U.S. is both a protest and a new preference. As families fall in love with new destinations, old habits may never return. Bookings to U.S. cities are down, while alternative destinations see a surge. The U.S. risks losing its status as the default vacation spot for Canadians. Winning back these travelers will be difficult and expensive. The trade dispute could leave a lasting legacy of lost market share and fractured tourism ties. The economic pain goes far beyond liquor and tourism. Canada's tariffs hit a wide range of U.S. goods, from ketchup to washing machines. Small and medium businesses, especially in border states, are struggling to survive. Cross-border supply chains built over decades are now disrupted and costly. Many products cross the border multiple times. Now, each trip adds expense and complexity. The uncertainty is stalling investment and hiring on both sides. Trust and predictability, once the foundation of U.S.-Canada trade, are eroding fast. The dispute is a stark reminder. Trade is about relationships, and those are now in jeopardy. The trade war raises troubling questions about the long-term health of both economies. Uncertainty is chilling investment, stifling innovation, and slowing growth. Canadian businesses forced to find alternatives may never return to U.S. suppliers. America's reputation as a reliable trading partner is at risk. The use of national security as a justification alarms allies and discourages new trade deals. The North American economic bloc, once a global powerhouse, is now weakened by division. The real danger is permanent fragmentation of a vital partnership. The consequences could last for a generation. The trade war has pushed U.S.-Canada relations to the brink, threatening a partnership built on trust. This is more than a tariff dispute, it's a breach of faith between close allies. Without resolution, both economies face lasting damage and lost opportunities. Even if peace is restored, scars will remain. Habits and loyalties have shifted. The U.S. may need a major diplomatic effort to rebuild trust and market share. The crisis is a lesson in the dangers of taking partnerships for granted. The future depends on whether leaders can restore cooperation and respect before the damage becomes permanent.